Welcome to Young Tuition. Let's continue our discussion about basic issues on electricity. Today, I'm going to make some remarks on Tesla's patent published in 1905, in which Tesla outlined his plan and design how to deliver electricity wirelessly in different media. Let's go. The title of my talk today is What is Wrong with Tesla's Patent number 787412. You can download this PDF from internet. You can read the whole patent. Before we go, a little bit of background. So far as we know that there are two approaches to deliver electricity from one place to another. One is by building a giant electrical grid. Another is to just use remote technology or wireless technology. And in this particular patent, Tesla was talking about how to utilize wireless technology to realize his objective. Let's have a look of this patent. The title of his patent is called Art of Transmitting Electrical Energy Through the Natural Mediums. And the medium, after you read his patent, including not just Earth's surface, but also the air or the atmosphere. And he had a dream to deliver electricity worldwide by building several gigantic Tesla towers. Let's have a closer look. In passing, it is very interesting to notice that this patent was submitted in 1900 at approximately time when Max Planck published his work on black body radiation. And by the time this patent was published, that is in 1905, that is the year Albert Einstein published 3 historical papers. So that is something of interest, I hope. And if you read this paper in detail, you can see that the background of this invention is that since a long time, that electrical currents may be propagated through Earth, and this knowledge has been utilized in many ways in the transmission of a signal and the propagation of a variety of receiving devices. So that is the background in 1900 when this patent was made. Obviously, he mentioned 2 related applications in relation to the discovery of electromagnetic wave. And although he didn't explicitly mention the wave in this particular context, but we know that by 1900, electromagnetic wave had been discovered. And there are 2 different applications. Based on the electromagnetic wave. One is for the transmission of a signal, either audio or the telegram code, and that would be very useful for wireless communication. Another is actually deliver electricity itself. He called it electrical energy or electrical power. Many people still use this terminology. So the applications are different. Obviously, in this particular patent, Tesla was more concerned about the second objective or second application, namely the wireless transmission of electricity in different media. Apart from metal conductors, and obviously Tesla was more interested to deliver electricity beyond this metal conductor. But he also mentioned that the starting point of his new invention is based on the observation that when electric wave or oscillations are impressed upon such a conducting path as a metallic wire, reflection takes place under certain conditions from the ends of the wire, and in consequences of the interference of the impressed and reflected oscillations, the phenomenon of the standing wave. So standing wave is a keyword of this particular patent. So the what they call electric wave, we just now they call electromagnetic wave, obviously can be propagated in one direction and being reflected. As nowadays, as we know well that when we use a shortwave radio, and the shortwave radio can be reflected by ionosphere, and that is a part of the phenomena in the context of the transmission of electrical signal. But whether this standing wave can be utilized to deliver the electricity itself, and I believe still remain unresolved. Okay. Of course, there are many followers, many believers that believe that one day we should be able to realize Tesla's dream. But one thing, one detail I would like to draw your attention is that in this case, still talking about this type of the stationary wave, Tesla came out of this particular number, which is 4.7 times 10 to the power 8 meter per second, as the speed of this what is called electric wave. Obviously, this speed is higher, faster than the speed of light in the vacuum. So this is something we can just remind you that somehow Tesla himself was not dealing with the transverse electromagnetic wave discovered by Hertz. Actually, if you go to detail, he actually considered his electric wave behave like the sound. To be specific, that as I mentioned before, he actually would consider this electric wave, standing wave, is longitudinal. Okay, so it's obviously from this number of speeds we can see Tesla was dealing with slightly different conceptions about electromagnetic wave. Of course, this is still remains the basic issues in modern physics, because when we're talking about the transmission of the radiation or light speed, so what is actually physically moving? Okay. Does that imply the electrical field is moving at that speed, or actually electrical charge propagate at that speed beyond the physical stuff? So that is a basic idea we can discuss further. Although I'm very critical about the idea of the electrical energy used in this patent, it is understandable that since his time, the Leibniz's idea of the living force, later called energy, had a strong influence on people like Tesla. So you can argue that Tesla, in his days, seriously believed that electricity can be treated as a form of energy, kind of energy, which exists not in his devices, but also can physically transport it from one place to another and emit it wirelessly around, including the atmosphere. So he believes that the energy is something tangible, if not invisible, if not visible. And that is why I'm very critical about his idea or his patent as a whole. As I discussed in my previous video, I pointed out that during this electrical transmission, if I use the diagram I used before, and there is no energy transfer over the electric wire or through the electromagnetic field. Okay, so that is my remarks on Tesla's patent. And actually, from the diagram here, you can see that this actually is the original idea of Tesla Tower, and how he delivered, how he achieved his transmission of electricity in the relatively short range. Okay, and as I mentioned before, by building this huge tower, what Tesla could achieve is just to simply light up a lamp in a few hundred feet away. So it's not very dramatic. Of course, and the idea of this electrical energy transfer wirelessly is very attractive, especially today, because there's a consensus of global warming. So therefore, people would appear have to looking for different energy sources, and also how to deliver this energy to a particular users, like cities, at the plants, and domestically. So that was the idea of Tesla's original idea remain very popular. That's more than popular, because if you look around, there are many serious YouTubers who actually advocate Tesla's original idea, including Veritasium. Okay, so in my opinion, that Veritasium makes that controversial video last year was due to his motive, that he's trying to persuade people that electrical energy can be delivered not through the wire, but through electromagnetic field, namely wirelessly. So it's very popular. Okay, look at what he have done in his other video. He is a strong believer as well in the electrical car. Okay. In which, of course, it's very popular to deliver that electric car chargers, how to charge electrical car wirelessly. So all of these ideas, or the popular video, are based on Tesla's original patent we discussed today. And from this diagram, perhaps I can illustrate more. And oh, by the way, the reincarnation in Chinese can be simply called 起死回生, to rise from dead. So that's how to describe this current trend to revisit Tesla's original patent on wireless transmission of electrical energy. Actually, in this diagram, seriously, actually published by this called Verge Science, not Virgin, but Verge Science, very popular. You see, they got over 1 million subscribers, and it would appear this idea remain very attractive, because that is understandable. Because if you tell people there's no hope, there's not much choice to generate energy in the future, because we're trying to abandon the use of the coal, then people would have to consider other means elsewhere. So that is why not surprising to see that over 1 million people have watched these mumbo jumbo videos, and over the past few years, 2 years. Oh, by the way, this diagram is illustration, one of illustration of Tesla's standing wave. Tesla believed that the electricity exists, or energy of electricity exists around the Earth, and or around any planet or stars. So what we can do is actually to realize, by building certain devices such as Tesla Tower, so we can activate this naturally existing electrical power for our benefit to use, and without damaging, it's clean because it's natural. So it's somehow it's politically correct, and to think or to dream in this way, actually to illustrate the further of this diagram. Oh, by the way, each of these white dot represent what the people called, what Tesla called a node. Only starting a standing wave, there must be a regular position. They have the minimum oscillation, which is called the node and antinode. So these are some of the antinodes around the Earth. And if you read some of these popular videos, you will see that actually they can actually determine, they would like to associate this node with some great ancient architectures, such as, for example, this node is obviously represents the ancient Egyptian pyramid. And if you don't go there, in this one, in Southeast Asia, would be the place where you can find the Angkor Wat temple in Cambodia. And I also added another white spot here, perhaps people didn't know much, is that in Sichuan province, that there's a huge statue of Buddha. I hope this also could acting as one of Tesla's standing wave node, and so that by building the gigantic Tesla Tower, we should be activate this ancient old network of the electro standing wave. Of course, well, I'm not talking about the physics now. We're talking about the tales of centuries. And of course, in summary, I would like to point out that the Tesla may considered as great inventors, and giving the technology and new technology, and he had created, similar to Thomas Edison's. Okay, there are two of them. Both of them were great inventors based on the given means, and namely the electricity. But in my opinion, that Tesla is far from a competent physicist, because if you go to the detail, you will learn that he has not much understanding about the basic ideas in physics beyond electricity. Okay, so I hope my talk will give you some new insight into the current global popularity of the so-called wireless harness of electrical energy. And please subscribe, or if could you let your friends or classmates, a relative know that there is such and such channel discussing something related to not of fundamental issues in physics. Okay, thank you for watching, and goodbye. See you next time.